Lord loves us so much. But in our power, in our hand, I will come and deliver the broken, destroyed, messed up, poor, impoverished people I'm going
Hey, Shalom, Israel. I.S.U.P.K, Yahweh Shema, the thug, all sisters, man. It's Captain 13,000, the car I'm around, checking in with the Israelite school of I.S.U.P.K, under command of GEN.YAHANNA. Listen, man, this year's 52nd annual Passover. 52nd annual Passover under command of GEN.YAHANNA, under the I.S.U.P.K. Couldn't do it last year. Y'all already know the Lord had his foot on our oppressor's neck.
Here in New York City, there are roughly 1,000 cases a day. Those are numbers they haven't seen since May.
Can't do it in New York this year because the Lord still got his foot on our oppressor's neck.
New York, the center of the outbreak this spring, is now teetering on another deadly explosion of the virus.
But listen to me good. This year, 52nd annual Passover, April 24th, 2021. You understand? It's going to be in H-Town, baby.
It's going to be at the B&H Ranch, 14149 Player Street, Houston, Texas.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we can't do. 2021, I.S.U.P.K, 52nd annual Passover. All the generals gonna be there. All the heavy hitters gonna be there. The daughters of Zion gonna step out with their beautiful long dresses, you understand? Strong on deck. That one-way style music on deck. 52nd annual Passover.
B&H Ranch, 14149 Player Street, Houston, Texas.
You wanted to get lost, man.
straight about the face. The word of me, the word of sacrifice. Dealing with the metaphors. I'm shining with the Lord cause. On one cause. We ain't never stopping now. You run.
That was the news to reduce my knowledge. Because I will always break down barriers and break down bondage. All that God Almighty grant me privilege. You see, I have to overcome all the wicked. Them on the false things. I have no right, God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the one can save me from white man oppression? I have no right, God. It's just a bit of Messiah. Oh, I got that bless, so in now blesses. I have no right, God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the one can save me from white man oppression? I have no right, God. It's just a bit of Messiah. Even I got that bless, so in now bless. I want what is right for my friend with us and youth. Your system is designed to be strong from the truth, but it will come to pass. I know not to the youth. In the process of time, we will know the truth. You will wind up to break this slavery. The doctrine for no one in the black community. The black Messiah, you try to see with fantasy, but we now to make you destroy the love with the luxury. That's why you have to come so. I have no place in Babylon. As I know they make me victim of the righteous action. Oh God, I won't be conquered in this region. Oh yes, I have to stand and go strong. Don't tell me that you want God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the one can save me from white man hungry? I have no white God. It's just a black Messiah. Why God a bless so in a bless? Oh, we face counter twin thunder. Can't start no right. Open all things. Who that find you ever must be white. So what about the black and the most in life? You want your white to bring me sick. What in me and you text the version of the Bible. Oh, you want it? Remember I know you if you won't go out on this. Here you any pity, you want your wisdom and wit. All walking till Almighty Father God. History of the second party. Dances love. We got the truth, the dance where we then dance. We also tell me down, go to buy some baby shots. Yeah, that I don't have to break the road. I have no idea. Don't tell me anything wrong. Who the one that saved me from my man oppression? I have no idea. It's just your blood Messiah. If I got a bless, I not bless his life. I have no idea. Don't tell me anything wrong. Who the one that saved me from my man oppression? I have no idea. It's just your blood Messiah. If I got a bless, I not bless. That's why we want what's right for the money. So we not saying you. Your system is designed.
All right. Shalom Israel.
Shalom.
We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohanna. We've been teaching this truth about the Bible since 1969 that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right. Before we get into tonight, right, I'd just like to recap, right, the times of the classes locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. On a Monday night, right, is the history class, right, which is done by Priest and Officer Makar Kobal. On a Tuesday, right, which is tonight, right, is the Brotherhood class, right, which is usually done by Priest and Officer Sowap Yala, all right, but I am standing in for him. I am Priest and Officer Maikwa, all right. On a Wednesday, we have the law class, right, which is done by Priest and Officer Matt Kwayak. On a Thursday, right, we usually stream the class from time to time out of Harlem, New York, with 12 Shield General Mahaiman. All right. On a Friday, we had the Lashawan Kwadash, right, which is the Holy Tongue, all right, which is the Hebrew, all right. That is the original language that the nation of Israel used to speak, right, and still speaks, right, because thank God for commanding GEN.YAHANNA and I standing and continuing to keep the truth pure and upright, right, we able to speak the holy tongue today, all right, and that is the Lashawan Kwadash, all right, this is done by Priest and Officer Yakad. Then we have on a Saturday we have the Sabbath, right, which is also done by Priest and Officer Yakad, right, and Priest and Officer Swapiala, right, and from various time to time you might see other brothers holding on the Sabbath class, right. All these classes run from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. during the week from Monday, right, to Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and on a Saturdays from 10 a.m. right. The Sabbath is from 10 a.m. right. On Sunday, right, we have the scripture breakdown class, which is done by Priest and Officer Galawan, right. Priest and Officer Galawan is the head of the Trinidad and Tobago camp, right, and he does the scripture breakdown, right, and the time is from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. right, and it is an interactive class, so you will be able to ask the questions and get them answer and get the answers for the various questions, right, anything about the Bible you would like to find out, right, or maybe any counsel or anything, right. That class is a good class to interact with, right, on a Sunday. Right, so with that out of the way, all right, tonight class, right, you could basically see the topic, right, brotherhood crushes the oppression, right, in this world, right, and this is something that the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man today have lost, right. We lost the ability to be around one another, right, or to come together to achieve any goal. We lack that ability, right. It has become very difficult for us, right. We are accustomed fighting and battling among one another, right, and most times, understand, we we tend to point fingers, right, at one another, when really and truly, right, it should be at ourselves, because we have allowed ourselves to be deceived, right, by the white supremacy of this world, right, and the media and all the social media and all the electronic media and all the things blasting in our faces. Excuse, right? We have allowed that to deceive us, right? And we have lost the ability to come together, because why? Right? This book, right? The King James Version 1611 Bible, right? Has the black man laws, has his constitution, right? Has his the way he's supposed to live life, right? And this is something that is not preached in the Christian church, right? Because the Christian church don't want it to know this, right? They want it to stay, right, depressed, right, and with your problems not being solved, because they profit off of your problems. They profit off of your problems not being solved, right? They profit off of your demise, right? But the black man's history, culture, right, his economic ability, all this, right, is written in his constitution and his laws, right? This was given to us by the Most High Power, our power, right? And the thing about this Bible is a lot of people understand, and as it starts to come out over time, right, people is beginning to understand that the black man, the Hispanic man, and the Native Indian man, right, are the biblical Israelites of the Bible, right? When the Bible talk about the Israelites, it's the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man. All of us form one nation, which is the nation of Israel. All right. So this is what the Christian church and all these different religions try to keep us divided and keep us pointing at one another and keep us one section in Baptist and the next section is Muslim and the next section is Pentecostal, right? All this battle, and I stand to keep the black man remaining in oppression, because all these different religious institutions, right, and different leaders benefit from the black man's oppression and from the black man's demise, right? I just like to take Deuteronomy 28 and give me 28 and 1, Bapakisha. Here. And understand, this is the black man's history written in this Bible, right? And the black man walking around ignorant to the fact. Understand? Right? Because the churches will never teach you this. Understand? The churches will never teach you, right, that your history is in the Bible. Understand? Your records is in this Bible. Right? Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass.
Right? So the scripture is saying it shall come to pass, meaning this will happen, right? Go ahead.
If thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Right. So it say if thou shalt hearken diligently, if we should listen, right, to do diligently. Go ahead.
To observe and to do all his commandments.
Right. It say to observe. Understand? To meaning that we go in, somebody teach us, right, and teach us the correct understanding and the correct breakdown, right? So we must observe and to what?
And to do.
And to do. And as I come from, we can't just hear it and not do anything about it. And just lay down on the couch like a Christian and say, I saved. Understand? Right? That's not in the Bible. And as I come from, right? There must be some work there. There must be some action behind it, right? Well,
to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right. So way back in Deuteronomy, right, with Moses, right, this was a covenant, right, that the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man made with the Most High. Understand? We promised to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, right? The things that He set out for us to do on the face of the earth, right? And it have many laws, things that we should eat, things that we shouldn't eat, how we should carry about ourselves, how we should deal with our neighbors, right? Or how we should deal with people of the other nations, right? All these things is written in the black man's book, in the black man's law, in the black man's constitution, right? And it said that if we observe and do and keep these commandments, right? That he would set us on high above all nations of the earth. He didn't say equal to or holding hands together, kumbaya around a fire. He said he will set us what? Above all nations of the earth. And it just didn't mean above. It don't mean Israel, right? Will be just floating in the air above the nations. Above meaning rulership. We would have been in rulership over the entire earth to set law, order, and judgment over the face of the earth, right? Under our King Yahushua, right? So that was in Deuteronomy 28 and 1. Right, so you go jump to 28 and 50 from Babakasha. Right, but making this covenant with the Most High, it also had, right, an effect if we did not keep these laws, right? And we're gonna hear about if we did not keep the laws, what would happen to us. Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
All right, so it's saying it shall come to pass. So if we kept the law, right, we would have been set in rulership, right? But now it's saying now if we did not come to keep this law, right? So it's starting off, it shall come to pass. Go ahead.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
right? If we would not listen, right? If we would make our hearts turn hard and cork our ears, right? If we did not listen, go ahead.
To observe and to do all his commandments.
Go ahead.
And his statutes, which I command thee this day.
Right, so all the commandments and the statutes, all the things that Moses commanded us to do on that day, right? On that day we made that covenant with the Most High. Go ahead.
That all these curses shall come upon thee.
Right, and all these curses will come upon us. So when I say curses will come upon us, I don't mean no spooky thing with potion, right? And smoke coming out like what we just see on television, right? Right? What I mean curses mean the punishment, right? These punishments would come upon us, right? If we did not choose to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, right? These things will befall the black man today. And when I look around today, the black man is deep, right, in these curses, and the black man is suffering all manner of police brutality, understand? And HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, right? All the different type of diseases, all the things, right? The Most High say we should not eat pork, right? And we decided we want to follow the other nations and eat pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, and no wonder we is the highest in high blood pressure and diabetes, right? And having rheumatoid arthritis, understand? In our old age because of the things we eat, right? Because we did not want to listen to the Most High. The Most High made sure and lay down these laws so we will not fall victim, right, to these different sins and corruption that are upon the face of the earth, right? He even made a law that we should not marry any daughters. Our daughters shouldn't marry the sons of the other nations, right? And we should not take our sons and marry their daughters. The leagues with the other nations, right? Right? And when you look at today, all the nations we make leagues with, we are now in servitude to them. We now in want for all things. Understand? We now in the bottom of society. All right. That was it on that, Baba Kusha. Go ahead. Continue.
All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
All right, and if we did not listen to the things the Most High said, these curses and these punishments will come upon us, right? Jump from there and go to give me Deuteronomy 28 and 48, Baba Kisha.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 48.
Right, so this was one of the curses, right? If we did not listen to the laws, the statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Go ahead.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy, which the Lord shall send against thee.
Who will send them against us?
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
That's right. Right. And one of the curses was, right, that the Most High power, if we did not listen to his commandments, the Most High was he will send who he will send against us?
Thine enemies.
That's right. He will send me enemies against us. Go ahead.
Which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst.
That's right. Go ahead.
And in nakedness. And in want of all things.
That's right. The Most High send we enemies against us, and we enemies is all these other nations around us that profit off of us, and understand that take their time and plan cunningly to trap the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man, right? So that they could benefit, right? And they could watch you suffer and die like nothing, like flies. And understand, just another cog in the pipeline, as they will put it. You understand where I'm coming from? This is how the nations think about the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man. All the way go around the world, right? Black people in distress. All the way go around the world, Hispanic people in distress. All the way go around the world, the Native Indian man in distress. And if you don't believe me, go and look it up and you will see for yourself. And these people are constantly in oppression all over the world, right? Continue, Baba Kusha.
And in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
And you will put a yoke of iron upon me neck, go ahead.
Until he have destroyed thee.
That's right. And this happened to us in slavery. And understand, the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man all went into slavery. And understand, the Atlantic slave trade being one of the most distinct one of all of them. And understand, but the Hispanic man also went into slavery because they were taken and shipped back into Europe, and understand, to serve as slaves. And the Native Indian man became slaves on on his own land. And understand, he became slaves. And understand, even to where they drive him back to a small plot of land and calling it a reservation. And understand, when he practically did own the whole of the Americas. All right, go ahead, Officer Yakar.
Yes, like I said. And also, a lot of people think when you say black, you think it, so-called African. We are not African.
That's right. And as I'm from, we are the Israelite of the Bible, the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man. We are talking about the Negro man, right? The man whose ancestors were sent into slavery, right? What a lot of people do not know, and these things are documented in history, right? That the Native African, the African man who is native to his land sold the Negro man, right, into slavery, right, to the white man. And a lot of people don't know that the ships that brought us here into slavery was produced and made by the Arabs. And some of us calling ourselves Muslims. And where I come from, not knowing that these people were responsible for your fathers being in slavery. They supplied the transport to bring us to the Americas. And understand, the Africans kidnap us. And understand, when we fled from Jerusalem and came to settle in the land of Africa, they kidnapped us and shipped us into slavery. Because why? They already know that we were not their people. We were two different people. And understand, and these are things that your Christian church would not teach you. So no wonder today, right, when you look back, you not see no Bank of Ethiopia in Trinidad. And understand, no Bank of Ghana. And understand, no wonder they didn't send back any ships for us in the Caribbean to come back to Africa, right? People try to mama guy and say they're organizing trips to Africa, but nobody. And understand, because why? They understood that we were two different people. The black man in the Americas, the Negro man in the Americas, and the Negro man and the black man in Africa is two different people, right? That is two different nations, right? The black man or the Negro man in the Americas are the biblical Israelites of this Bible, of the King James 1611 Bible, right? That was the end of it, Baba Kusha. Give me Romans 3 and 4, Baba Kusha. All right, this is what a lot of people don't understand. And because now the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man does not understand his history, right? Does not understand that he has a culture, he has laws, because he is living with some living out of purpose, some trying to form a career in the white man society under white supremacy, and that's where I come from. But what I do understand is you could only be as good as your nation is. Don't matter if is a multi-billionaire, right, as a Negro man, and your whole entire society suffering, then you suffering as well. Because you can't go to the UN to bargain for nothing, to negotiate for anything, because you're going as one man instead of a nation, right? Yeah, find it, Babu.
Yeah. The book of Romans, chapter 3 and verse 4. God forbid, yea, let God be true, but every liar.
Salakia. Give me second verse 3, Babu.
The book of Romans, chapter 3 and verse 3. For what if some did not believe?
Right? So it say, for what if some did not believe? And that's where I come from, right? Because a lot of us walking around and you know what they say? It are no God. Understand? We do believe. And that's where I come from, right? Some people say, they say God was coming since World War II. And I thought the world was going to end. Right? Go ahead.
Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect?
No. So we trying to tell them is, right? Because all they don't believe it about God, that means they don't have one. Continue.
God forbid.
You say what?
God forbid.
All right. And when you say God forbid, he mean no. Understand? So it don't matter what you believe. Understand? You believe in God or not, the Most High power will still come and crush white supremacy on the face of the earth. He will still come and crush your Christian pastor. Understand? He will still come and crush sin from off the face of the earth. Even so, if you feel that you want to continue to smoke your weed and eat your pork, understand? And your pork ham for Christmas and laugh, understand? The day will come when the Most High will crush that from off the face of the earth. All right? I will jump from there, right? And go to Psalms chapter 1 and verse 14, Babakasha. You understand? Without these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? The Black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man tend to lack a certain fundamental piece of the puzzle. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Because following the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, this is just the bare minimum. You understand? This is you coming in, right? And falling into the standard, right? Where the Most High set for us, right? Go ahead. No, Psalm chapter 14 and 1, Babakasha. Yeah. You understand? Right? Following the laws is just not all. Right? Right? Go ahead.
Yeah, Psalm chapter 14 and verse 1. The fool had said in his heart, there is no God.
You know the fool say?
There is no God.
That's right. The fool says there is no God. You understand? That is what people walking about the face of the earth. You understand? And here the Bible call you a fool. You understand where I'm from? Right? If you don't want to believe a fool, like the first part. You understand? You must understand that it has a power on the face of this earth. You understand? Just look at COVID-19. You understand? All the politicians scrambling. You understand? Them and the families getting COVID. You understand? And still scrambling to try to get the vaccine. You understand where I'm from? Right? So it's showing you that them not in charge. Them know what's going on. You understand where I'm from? Right? Continue.
They are corrupt.
They are what?
They are corrupt.
That's right. That's what happened to the fool. That's why they believe it have no God, because they're corrupt. And understand? Go ahead.
They have done abominable works.
Right? They're full of abominable works. They're full of wickedness. And that's where I come from. So because they do all this wickedness and that they haven't been punished for it, or so-called punished for it as yet, they feel that it have no power over them. They feel that them is the ultimate power. Right? Go ahead.
There is none that do it good.
Right? And none of them could do good. And that's where I come from, because it have no good thing in them. Understand? They already set out to destroy, right, in order to gain. Understand? They're willing to mash down they're willing to mash down their own people's head in order for them to rise to the top. Understand? And that is how corrupt this society has turned. And understand, this entire society has become unbrotherly. Understand? And thank God for Commander GEN.YAHANNA in the I.S.U.P.K. Understand? Now we understand what is brotherhood. Understand? Now we understand what it is to love one another. All right? And we're going to get to that, right? Right? So a lot of things in society happen to us because of having no brotherhood among us, right? Give me Amos chapter 9 and verse 4, Baba Kusha.
Book of Amos chapter 9 and verse 4. And though they go into captivity before their enemies, thence will I command the sword, and it shall slay them. And I will set mine eyes upon them for evil.
That's right. And that is what ended up happening to Israel. You understand? Right? Because why? We became unbrotherly. And that is something people don't understand about the nation of Israel. That is what they don't understand about the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man. Understand? We are the most highest chosen people. And because we are the most highest chosen people, our punishment is a little bit different. And as I'm coming from, our punishment, so like you just now, our punishment is a little bit different. And understand? Our punishment, when we disobey the Most High, he sends us into captivity. He sends us in servitude under the other nations. And that's where I'm coming from, right? And there you will get raped and molested and robbed and killed because the other nations are the other nations of the earth is lawless. And understand? They have no God. And that's where I'm coming from, right? All their gods, all them stone, they see them building all over the place. Them thing dead. And that's where I'm coming from. So they have no moral compass to guide them. And that's where I'm coming from. And when we fall in servitude to them, now we fall under raw and inhumane punishment, right? What up, Sayaka?
Yes, I was going to say that the Christian pastor say God is good all the time. And all the time God is good.
That's right.
You clearly see it.
That's right.
He is the one who considered evil us.
That's right. And and that's right. And the Most High reserved them. Understand? Right? For his special time. Understand? To deal and destroy them, because the Christian pastor has caused a lot of our people to go astray. Understand? By not teaching them these laws, telling them things like the laws done away with. You understand where I'm coming from? And half of them professing to live one lifestyle and live in another. You understand where I'm coming from? And the next half is living that lifestyle. There's actually child molesters, right? And I are always not child molesters eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You understand? And all not eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, sleeping with somebody else's wife. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Or trying to stiff the congregation, right? Out of the money. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? But by making them build all kind of exorbitant churches and statue. You understand? I see some of these churches have some of the biggest Christmas trees you could find. You understand where I'm coming from? When the Bible tell you that we're not supposed to celebrate Christmas. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? We're not supposed to celebrate Easter and Halloween and all these pagan holidays. You understand? Right? All these things is what the Christian church responsible for. The Christian church has led the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man astray from sin slavery. You understand? You wanted to say something?
No.
All right. Give me Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 7, Baba Kisha. Right? So coming back to the point, right? The lack of brotherhood causing us to fall victim to all these evil and wicked things that befall us in society. Right? We hate one another. We don't like one another. And understand? We like to push down one another to gain on top. Right? But that is not the way the black and the Hispanic man supposed to live. Right? Continue with Jeremiah 12 and 7, Baba Kisha.
Okay. The book of Jeremiah chapter 12 and verse 7. I have forsaken my house.
He has what?
Forsaken my house.
That is, sorry, Salakia. Jeremiah 12 and 7.
Yeah.
Yes, no. Hold on. I'll catch up with you. Book of Jeremiah 12. Give us 17 and 4, Baba Kushan. Must be 17 and 4 saying it.
Book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
That's right. And that's where I'm coming from. And that's what happened to the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man. And that's where I'm coming from. We made the Lord angry. And that's because we continue to sin against the Most High. We continue to not do the things that the Most High tell us to do. And that's we continue to not keep His laws. And that's where I'm coming from. We continue to fight each other. We continue to covet things of one another. And that's where I'm coming from, right? We continue to have the crab in the barrel syndrome. And understand? All the effects from slavery still with us today. Understand? Because the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indians man's mind, understand, has been destroyed, understand, through white supremacy. Understand where I'm coming from? Right? But here in the I.S.U.P.K under command GEN.YAHANNA, right? We keep saying this and we keep saying this on the streets and even in the classes. And that's where I'm coming from. We need to separate from these other nations because that's the only way we could come out of this oppression. And in separating from the other nation means gathering together, coming together. And that is where the brotherhood begins to start. That's the first part of brotherhood. The first part of brotherhood is gathering together. And here in the I.S.U.P.K under command GEN.YAHANNA, that this is the place to gather. And this is the place where we begin to understand brotherhood. This is the place we begin to understand structure and order. And then when you begin to live right and begin to follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and they begin to deal with one another the way the Most High intended to deal with, then we could build and form economic structures and military might. And as I'm coming from is an actual real thing that's taking place upon the face of the earth, an actual real government setting upon the face of the earth under Yahweh Shai. And as I'm coming from, and these laws, statutes, and commandments is the way out. And as when we're looking for the way out through society, and everybody feel that we'll win the lotto, and right? Or you feel you might open some big business to deliver you, right? And or you have some brilliant idea or invention that you come up with. These things are not going to deliver you. What is going to deliver you is brotherhood, coming together as a nation and building with one another, right? That was all on that, Baba Kusha. Jump to Lamentations. Give me 1 and 5, Baba Kusha.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 1 and verse 5. Her adversaries are the chief, her enemies prosper, for the Lord has afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions.
That's right. And that's where I'm coming from. Right? The Lord afflict you for the multitude of our transgressions. And that's why we keep doing things that anger the Most High. And that we multiply we multiply sin upon sin. And that's where I'm coming from. Right? The black man has become to the lowest ranks in society today. And understand by why? Because why? We choose to walk away from the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And that is why we need to come out the Christian church and the Muslim mosque, right? And the Pentecostal and Egyptology. Understand? These things have nothing to help us. Understand? Right? When you look at Egyptology, you don't have one law to tell you how to raise a child. Understand where I'm coming from? Right? all these things, it brings more pressure on the black man. Understand? Right? They have no economic structure. Everybody boasting about what was in the past, what already destroyed. That is the debate, and who could read hieroglyphics or not. And there's absolutely nothing that can help the modern man today from that. That is a society already destroyed, and that which is a history. On top of it is a history of another nation, and we debating our lives out of that. Understand? And then going back home to go and slave for the white man. Understand? To go back to work for the white man. Go ahead, Officer Yakar.
Yes, like I said, if I may. I was talking to a Christian just the other day, and explaining to him, how he said, what happened to we people kind of way. So he was saying that we don't want to learn, we want to get educated now. So you're always thinking that education from the so-called white man, will always help pull us out. And I was keep on showing that the systematic oppression, from slavery come right up. When you look at the other nations, the East Indians, the Chinese, and you look at how they progress, and you look at how they come together. And the more that they keep on showing them that this is how the system is a complete denial in the mind. That no, it's not so. But the more that they try to, the more that they show them, even when they're seeing evidence clear, and even they themselves confessing, that they have been, stereotyped, and left out because of who they are, and seeing what the other nations doing. They're still in denial that, coming together as a people is like, the worst thing that could happen.
That's right. And that's what happened, because guys, and you're right. You understand? They really believe coming together is the worst thing that happened, because we never try it. You understand where I'm from? All right? All the different revolutions with black people, we always join with the next nation. You understand? So when the Black Power movement was very strong in America, right? In Trinidad, they decided to do the same thing, right? And it actually on the papers, black and Indians unite. You understand where I'm from? We always united with another nation. When you go back to the civil rights movement in America, and all that Black Power thing was strong. You understand? When we united, we wanted equal rights with white people. You understand where I'm from? We never saying let me really come out on we own. You understand where I'm from? Right? And own up as a people. And because we end up having this mentality, we still join with white people. So the slogan black, right? But the movement mix. And that's where I come from. And we will continue to follow that people if we continue to be in that mixed movement. And that's where I come from. The Mosai already separated his people. And we, as you say, gather yourself together in the scriptures. And understand? And that is where Brotherhood starts. Right? By gathering. Right? Here in the I.S.U.P.K under command GEN.YAHANNA, we understand that you is the seed of your father. This is our bloodline. This is not like this is not a membership organization where you are becoming a member. And that's where I'm coming from, right? This is not about that. And this is about the history of our people who have been robbed and pillaged and taken advantage of. And brought through the worst type of slavery that they could ever know about. All the other slavery we ever hear about in the entire world that we know about, the people still actually know who there was. You was a East Indian, you was a Chinese in slavery, but you was who he is, right? We end up in slavery, right? They kill your mother, kill your father, and beat the living daylight out of you until you can't even remember who he is. And tell you your name is John, and Warwick. And that's where I'm coming from. We never know that. They make it talk a different language. They make it speak English and Spanish and Dutch. And understand all these is white languages. And that's where I'm coming from, and French. And understand? Look at the Caribbean today, or every island they jump to. And understand? Right? And Dutch is a break off a German. And that's where I'm coming from. So all these is just white languages that totally dominate the Negro man in society today. So after you come out that level of slavery, and that's where I'm coming from, right? And then when you come out now, you have nowhere to work. You understand? It never even had the ability to think for yourself. You understand? So then what, you have to go back on the plantation or go back to work for these other nations. Understand? Go ahead.
Every time, you know, we try, so-called try to so-called come together as a people, there are always devices, you know, to bring us separation. I mean, in America, Black Wall Street is probably one of the best, and there are a lot of other so-called Black Wall Streets all over the U.S., even right here in Trinidad. When you look at the Black Power movement in the 80s and 70s, where the fight was and the struggle was for Black people, Black girls to work in the bank.
Yeah, and that is exactly what I was talking about. You understand?
And when you look at that,
yeah,
you know who benefits? East Indian benefits. When you look at OWTU and the whole struggle for wages, who benefit the most? You know, East Indians and the Chinese. That's why they just piggyback on the struggle and they reap all the benefits.
Yeah, and that is exactly what I'm talking about. We never actually separate. In we mind, we thinking it's separate, right? But these people continue to be around. You understand? And the most I tell you, separate yourself from them. Separate. You understand? Mean cut them off. You understand? Because you can't. You can't hold a Black Power movement. You understand? And East Indians in the march with you. You understand where I'm from? Right? That is nuts. You understand where I'm from? Right? Or you're fighting for equality. You understand? Because when they was asking for the Black girls to work in banks, right? That is equality you're fighting for. When we should have opened our own bank and stop with people from going into their banks. You understand? Right? We should have opened our own hospitals, right? Because it's not to say and we had doctors too. Some of we doctors, some of we Black doctors here, some of the best. You understand where I'm from? Right? But somehow we want to be in holding that equal opportunity, as they say. And as they call it equal opportunity, but really it's not equal opportunity. And as I come from is advantage opportunity, because they always have the advantage. And as it's just like what how they say with the casino, the house always win. And as I come from, I tell you, and rolling dice is not a bad thing, but it become bad when the house always win. The cheating. You understand where I'm from? Right? And that is what the white man do today. Right? In all different aspects of life, he find a way to cheat. You understand where I'm from? So that the Black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man will always stay in the bottom of society. They'll always get the worst end. You understand where I'm from? Of society. And understand? You look, you have Trinidadians going over on them farm to pick apple. And understand where I'm from? That is like a modern day form of slavery. What just showing a news article just the other day. And understand? What you see them men sleeping? And understand where I'm from? Right? You swear say it's like the real, it's like slavery in 2020. And understand? Massa High House, because whatever it is, and them sleeping in the barn. I tell you, it's crazy. And understand where I'm from? Right? And then when they're ready to come home, you can't come home. You understand? You have to face the elements of it. You understand? And the same money we work hard for, right? To try to bring back home, it's done. Because why? COVID come and you have to live already for extra time. You understand? And that to show you. Understand? The Mosa is not somebody to play with. You understand? The Mosa is not your partner on the block. You understand? You get high five. You understand? Because sometimes you tend to take it for granted. You understand? But it's a serious thing. You know what I mean? That was the end of that. I think that was Lamentation 1:5.
Yeah. What's like it? One part of the end.
Read the part of the end here.
He said, "Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy."
That's right, and that is where the Black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man is today. We in captivity before we enemy. So don't matter where we is. And understand? Right? In America, the white man on the neck. And understand? In Trinidad is the East Indian and the Assyrian and all them white people who come to exile down in the Caribbean. And understand? We under their oppression. And understand? Chinese. And as all the way to because all the way going Trinidad, right? The supermarkets, the majority is East Indian owned supermarkets. They are Chinese taking the supermarket industry now, coming up in the game. You have Syrians, right? They are some of the biggest chains that they have around, right? Right? And when they go to buy clothes, all the Detour, the Jimmy Aboods all in points was the only clothes store down here was Kaishan. Imagine that. That's sad. You understand? So we had to go to the East Indian for we clothes. You understand? And when you look at the car industry, well, foreign used cars and brand new cars, you understand? Right? Owned by the other nations. You have hardware, we again wood materials, the other nations, right? The whole industry, right? When you the restaurants, you go out to eating, and the little black man struggling with the little restaurant, everybody shunning him, and understand where I'm coming from? That was showing him, and hear the thing about it, they will say like the price is too high. But it's obvious the prices will be higher because it can't get the same deals that these bigger corporations is going to get. And that's where I'm going from, right? And that is where there's beat the black man with. And that's where I'm going from because now you fail to support your own black people. And that's where I'm coming from because why you're going to price instead of you. We must buy black people products so much until it get cheap. Understand? Right? Or as I say, until it started to taste good. It wasn't tasting good before. But we buy it until it could make enough money to get the ingredients to make it taste good. Understand? And that is how serious we are to get. Understand? Coming together as one nation and as one people. You understand where I come from? Right? Right? And the I.S.U.P.K now, under command in general, take it to the highest level that it could be. Because now you're coming together as one people under the Most High. You can't get better than that because you're coming back to your original state. You're coming back to your original nation, to your original people, your original culture. Right. And that's where I'm coming from, your original history. And that is where you're coming back to. And understand? You're coming back to your pure original form. You're coming back to perfection. Right? And that is where it is, right? Give me Ecclesiasticus. That's not no. I'm gonna check it first. I think it's Ecclesiastes. You understand? So for the black man to thrive out here, right, and do well or better than he is doing now, you have to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. Understand? We could dance, we could play around, understand? But we can't continue to be smoking weed. Understand? We can't continue to be committing adultery. Understand? We can't continue to be marrying people at the other nations. Understand? We can't continue to be murdering and stealing, right? And taking drugs. When we continue to do that, we will just continue to be way in the bottom of society. Because everybody, when you look at all the main black communities who fighting for black economic rights and black power, you understand? None of them talking about separation. You understand? Because everybody's equality. And that's why we need to work with these banks because they are more established. I don't care if they establish more than me. You understand? They had to start sometime, eh? They had a start date. You understand? So we might as well start to. You understand where I'm coming from? And that's where it was. You understand? Look at a simple thing that black people hold on daily until the bank want to take it now. It's susu. You understand where I'm coming from? That was the black man saving. You understand? Going around holding a susu. I just show how dread, right? The system was. You understand? You had to be in a susu. You had to be of good reputation and of good report. Imagine that. You understand? So people know you of good character in your community. Imagine that. You understand? I know the bank want to taste that now because the bank realize they're saving too much money. So they want to tax you now. You understand? Go ahead, Oxeka.
Yeah, so like I was going to say on that is that even now, I'm pretty sure they will come with, the whole, the battle we had a couple months ago, with the whole same susu stuff and love gift and all this stuff. I know pretty soon, they would bring a regulation to clamp down. Or even so-called regularize all these so-called susus and so-called credit unions, you know, and all these establishments that were the savior for black people.
True.
In the times I need.
True. And that's where I'm coming from, because they're beginning to and that's where the world heading now. The world heading, watch, the place the world heading right now is a place of no remorse. And as they already had no remorse for the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, and now it becoming outrageous. And until we social media picking it up every day. And as when they watch police brutality, people, they don't care about anymore. They don't care if the camera see them or not. And that's where I come from. And as they just decide, if they decide to kill you that day you're going to die. And it's only the most high power to save you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, like just one more thing, you know, even as I say that, you know, it's so real. Even right on the internet, you know, I have experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you see the effects of white supremacy,
mm-hmm.
not just to the so-called white man, but white supremacy could be in Chinese,
mm-hmm.
East Indians, because the same philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everybody drinking from the same wine.
That's right.
Well,
so I saw that you know, I was heading out, and I ended up in a roadblock near another brother. And you know, there was the East Indian, and it was a sergeant, whatever he was.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we driving slowly going to the roadblock. And as he saw us in the car, the first thing that he said, you know, he didn't, you know, you might say this in your mind,
mm-hmm.
but he said it out loud. He said, "Look, he looking like a bandit.
Mm-hmm.
Stop he."
Yeah. And that's right. And the thing, and that's a good point to bring out it, because to show how bad the other nations hate the black man and hate the Native Indian man and hate the Hispanic man, they use our characteristics to describe a bandit.
That's right.
And that's so sad. And that's not wrong, because I remember I worked in the security in the industry for years. And that's not wrong. And I'm telling you, anybody could steal.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I've seen people 89 years, 89, stealing shoes from off the shelf. And right? I've seen Hispanic, Caucasian, Syrian, wherever race. And that's where I'm coming from. And imagine they're using our characteristics to say, what? That look like a bandit. And that to show how bad, understand, the hatred is for the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man in society. Understand that it get terrible, terrible. And understand, until now, understand that and it becomes so bad where our people reach to the point is like you're just giving up. You understand? It's like when they come for you, you start to believe it. You understand where I'm from? And that's how sad the black man fate is becoming in society. Without these laws, statutes, and commandments in the Bible. You understand? We will end up becoming nothing as a nation. You understand? And thank God, understand? Right? That He chose us as a people. You understand? And thank Yahweh for being that upright and true brother. You understand? He's the king, but also the brother. You understand where I'm coming from? To stand up for the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man. Right? Even to the point where we call them to get crucified. You understand? Right?
So Ecclesiasticus or Ecclesiasticus?
Yeah, Ecclesiasticus 12. And you give me verse 16, Babakasha.
Calendar. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 12 and verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagined how to throw thee into a pit.
Right? And that is what the other nations do with we. And that's where I'm from. They just talk nice to me. You understand? Come and buy this sale thing. You got discount here. But secretly in the heart when they go home is how to overthrow the black man.
That's right.
And understand? How to overthrow his household. And understand? How to make your family go astray. And understand where I'm from? Alright? The teachers in the school, same thing. And understand where I'm from? They're talking nice. And understand? Welcome, ma'am. But the children, what becoming a the trend? What the trend being taught? And as I'm coming from, right? Anybody fighting for the correct history to enter the school textbooks? No. And as I'm coming from, that is passing by the wind every year and they're revising it and making more ridiculous claims. And as I'm coming from, all them things like Columbus, that is permanent history them have in school books for years. How many people actually believe that? Some of them went on to get degrees. Understand? With the same information. And some of them grew up believing that and solid, and then now regurgitating it as a teacher. You understand? I think that how bad it turned. And I remember one time, I had a school teacher, but she was knowledgeable enough in history. And she reached to the point when he was going to write the exam, she had to say, "Oh, let her write this to pass," but it's not the truth. And that's where I'm coming from. And I to tell you how bad society become when the teacher in the school had to tell you that. You understand where I'm coming from? So you had to lie to pass the exam. You understand? I tell you how crazy it gets. You understand where I'm from? Yeah. You understand? I'm telling you. You understand? So it's a serious thing, right? Look. Even right in right here in Trinidad in the community in library. Understand? A lot of people don't know that a lot of native Indian people used to live there.
Yeah.
Understand? There was a whole native Indian community. And that's where I'm from, right? And some people that history they don't even put out that history, and that's supposed to be in at least the children in that particular area supposed to know that. And that's where I'm from, and that's a sad thing. As they open history book, 1619 slavery, and that's how the black man started to get licks one time, and that's right. That the first book I see start with the climax of the story. You understand where I'm coming from? It didn't groom me in. You understand?
They came from here and these were their people, these were their names.
That's right. Nothing like that. It just starts with you getting whipped. You understand? And planting sugar cane or cotton.
Yeah. So like I said, a lot of people, I'll explain to one same question there. A lot of people think that slavery was very long ago. Slavery was just only approximately 3 generations ago, which is about 250 years.
Yeah.
Which is just about 2 or 3
I say about 2 because like we grandparents, their father was in slavery.
Yeah.
That is how bad it is. You understand? And they say, nah, you could forget that. And I come from, let that go. That is madness. And you totally destroyed by another nation, annihilated, and ain't even given a chance to come back. They're still annihilating it today, every day. And I coming from, and they're telling you what? Nah, you must forget that. Let that pass. And right? That is one thing you must forgive. You understand? That to show you how evil this will become. And very, very evil. You understand? Right? And then sometime now, and when you think about these things now, and then you're thinking about people going into marriages with these other people now, you totally destroying your heritage. You understand where I'm coming from? You're destroying your people. You understand? Because people who used to whip and enslave you, right, and destroy your whole culture, cause you to know who you not to know who you is. You understand? Because we still calling ourselves by all kind of different white name, Johnson and John and wherever, Billy Bob, wherever. You understand? It's bad. You understand where I'm from? You have a whole look when you go in some of them slave ship records. I tell you how evil and wicked it is. You have records of a slave ship and don't have the people names. You understand? Right? And they did take documents at the names, but they're just not publishing it. Understand? And you have that in National Library for people to read. That is evilness. You understand where I'm from? That's showing you we don't want society to see about black people. Yeah.
It's so heavy at the same in the aspect of when you read Deuteronomy 28:1, it's like it's 48. When you say you put the yoke of iron till they will be destroyed.
That's right.
That your whole mental, psychological, and physical well-being was completely destroyed. So you already don't know who you are. You hate your own skin.
That's right.
Religion.
That's right.
You hate your own hair.
You hate everything about it.
Everything about
it.
Yeah.
When it was the majority of guild children today, as they reach about 8, and as we just call it, this white cream that they straighten the hair with. I forget what they just call it, and I said, but immediately everybody here straightening. Parents relaxing training, and if for some reason somebody guild child survived through all that with the natural hair, the shun in here. You understand? It's like why you enjoying us? You understand? And then now make it worse. But by the time they reach in the teenage years, all the hair started to break off. You understand?
Even in the schools, they have laws preventing us from wearing our natural hair.
That's right. You understand? And as I bring that point, it had a news article about one or 2 years back with a guy who was working. He was working in an insurance company, right in Trinidad, right? And he had box plaques, right, in his hair, and the manager became very angry. You understand, right? because his statement shows was that he was not looking. He was not looking to the company up to the company not standard norms. You understand where I'm coming from, right? And that is racialism, right? Plain. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? That is what I'm saying, and that shows how sad it is. You understand? Yeah. Understand? And I think the guy ended up leaving the company, whatever. Understand? But he stand up for you, right? But to show you how bad society become, you understand? As they rightfully saying, you can't even wear your natural hair. You understand? Look at how they go down the road with cornrows. You understand? The poets make I look like. You understand where I'm from?
Criminal.
That was showing you. You understand where I'm from? As they grow your beard, it's like, you understand? They're not accustomed with that manly look or expression. You know what I mean? Right? That is a strange thing in society today. And there's another thing, because the Christian church, when everybody going in Christian church shaving off all of them head bald, and they're shaving off every grain of hair on the face. You understand? So it is a whole level of feminism in the Christian church. You know what I mean?
They have the slogan, boots, beards, and braids.
That's right.
That seems to be toxic masculinity.
That's right. You understand? Yeah. It's a type of masculinity the world do like. You understand? As soon as you start to carry about yourself as a man, and stop wearing them skinny jeans and all, everybody becoming now find you looking different in society. You understand? They find you should be more effeminate or more smooth. You understand where I'm from? Right? And all that smooth look, all that come from that effeminate look. You understand? Is a homosexual look. You know what I mean? That smooth look. You know what I mean? Yeah, give me the rest of verse 16, Babakisha.
An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagined how to overthrow thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
What does he say he go do? He go weep with what?
He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
Right, and that is what these other nations is. You understand? Right? And that is why we need brotherhood. You understand where I'm from? Because when the enemy crying, that is only our facial look. You understand where I'm from? You understand? That is only on the surface. You understand? But you're waiting for the opportunity to overthrow you, to jack you up. See what happened with Venezuela? Waiting for the opportunity. And as Chavez dead, that's all right. You have this time to move in. You understand where I'm from? And it's all kind of turmoil Venezuelan facing. You understand? Just the other day, the whole a candlelight vigil for I think it was about 40 people who died in the last boat that turned over trying to come to Trinidad. You understand where I'm from? Right? And majority of them was coming. Some of them was coming to look for work, and the others was coming for food. You understand? So imagine that. And the drum. You understand? All because of our politics between Caribbean islands. You understand where I'm coming from, right? And the white man is the role to play because it's them who really starving Venezuela to this point. You understand? They have any sanctions in Venezuela causing people to go to extreme measures to try to get ways and means to survive.
That's what diabolical, because they are the ones have the embargo and the sanctions on Venezuela, and then telling the Venezuelans is Maduro or that ruler that causing them the problem, and they are the ones actually blocking the government from getting food, clothes, or whatever they need from the other nation.
Yeah. And that's a serious thing, you understand? That's not right. I have a little article here just to show, right? I did an article that pop up in the daily newspaper in Trinidad and Tobago, right? And just as the head of the article saying, right? It says the head of the article saying Massey makes 743 million profit for 2020 in the midst of the pandemic, right? So these are a local business chain down here in Trinidad. That supermarket chain, a motor car dealers, right? They also have Massey Energy. The construction industry, and they sell construction equipment and stuff like that. So they're a big company, right? And this company in the COVID pandemic managed to make profit in all sectors. And that is to show you, understand? Because why? They'll come together as well, a nation, right? And this is under, right? Because they have Massey stores. That is the local supermarket chain, right? Right. But they put all the companies under Massey Group and companies. So everybody come together and form this organization, like to take over the entire market, right? And this is where they're going to see here now, right? They say Massey Group, right? This is the Newsday newspaper in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Let me forget the date. This was Thursday, the 24th, this December 2020. This was published, right? It's a Massey Group and Company's strategic decision in 2019 to shift its model from a traditional conglomerate to an investment holding or management company proved to be effective, as the company recorded a 743 million profit after tax. You know, after what? After tax, they get 743 million in profit for the year 2020, which was the financial year ended in September 30th, right? This year, right? No, I think it coming on to December. Their financial year does end September, right? So them they make 743 million in profit, right? Then they want to say that's a 21% improvement of last year's 613 million, despite the general economic uncertainty brought by the coronavirus pandemic for much of the year. So the previous year it makes 613 million. And the next year it makes 743 million in the height of the pandemic. Understand? And then now, while they're going down, they're going to show you how they managed to come up with this money in the pandemic, right? In his report to the shareholders in the company, annual report posted on the group's website on Thursday, Chairman Robert Bermudez said the group had demonstrated tremendous resilience in this difficult environment. And it's something funny, right? Because I like to show you how crafty, right, the white man has become in society, right? And I say the white man because these so-called Syrians in league with the white man. They're drinking out of his wine, you know what I mean? Right? So he said here, right? The group had demonstrated tremendous resilience with this difficult environment, right? So it makes 630 million last year, and this year was difficult. understand? Right? So that they show extreme resilience after making 613 million. All right. In spite of uncertainties and interruptions in business operations, our company have been exemplary in swiftly implementing strict health and safety protocols in rapidly pivoting to embrace remote working and adopting new technologies to enhance both the customer and the employee experience, right? So what they're saying is that when they realize the pandemic coming, they decide to take advantage of the situation and strategically place themselves, right, to make money, right? This is the first thing to do. All three of Massey's main portfolio integrated retail, gas products, motors, and machines, right? That different groups to have. That all the section also retail go be the supermarkets, then the Massey energy go be with the gas and energy products. And then motors is the car dealers, and then there's also sell machinery, right? Like things like forklift, they have a place selling forklift and tractors and things like that, right? So these are the portfolios I have. The group also benefited from a sale of Massey Technologies for 272 million to PBS Technologies Group Limited, a subsidiary out of Jamaica conglomerate, the Musson Group, right? So when they realize now, this company want to buy part of the company, they decide to sell it. And the one sale alone that they sell the company for 272 million, right? Which was probably more than enough money to a company would have been happy for a year like COVID, right? And they still decided to keep going. Bermudez noted that the economic outlook in several territories in which the group operates continues to be difficult, but Massey remains well positioned in its key area of focus, right? And now when we're talking about different territories, they mean the different islands, right? So the company now start in Trinidad, but they branch out to the different Caribbean islands, right? In TT, weak natural gas prices and declining production were a projected challenge, while in Barbados, the group was concerned about declines in tourism and tourism-related business. Guyana and Colombia, you almost confused calling, pose potential opportunities with the transformational economic oil impact oil. The first exports shipped in January 2020 in the former, while investor-friendly pro-growth economic policies in latter have boosted confidence of that economy. All right, so two economies doing well, which was Guyana and Colombia, and the next two not doing well, right? We decided that Massey Group would do whatever it could. They would do what? Do whatever it could to be the beacon of safety and reliability. So when another word to say, we will do anything, right, to make sure the money flow, right? We recognize that people would need to continue to access basic necessities in a trust environment if there was ever a time to demonstrate the power in the people. It was 2020, right? So they're using the slogan of the power in the people, right? That was getting the people to operate, right? Massey moved very early to establish protocols in frontline businesses, he said, to manage risk to the employee and customers, right? Because it was around the COVID season, right? We are proud of our role in securing food supply to all territories in which our integrated retail business, including supermarket chain Massey stores, operate, right? And you hear what I say? We are proud of our role in doing what? Securing the food supply. So them was at the forefront. of all food passing through this territory, right? Through the chain, through their stores.
So in other words, they monopolize the food industry.
That's right. So they control the food industry, and then because they know during the pandemic, food will become short, and that will be one of the major producers. They will be one of the major suppliers to get food to all the other chains, right, and businesses are in and around these island countries, right? So immediately that was the first strategy. So the sell part of the company, right, for a major profit of 272 million, and then they decide to monopolize and take control of the food, right?
Yeah, they will still make more money with food than other technology.
That's right, right? Because they see opportunity. Then they come here now. We are proud of the work of our gas product organizations in ensuring oxygen supply to hospitals as new temporary facilities were opened to cope with the rising patient numbers. So they take the gas company and make them produce oxygen supply equipment for the hospitals. So they take advantage of the food, and then they move now. They see opportunity in providing oxygen equipment.
Respiratory disease.
That's right. And the government had to spend the money to buy the machinery because they don't want the people to die. You understand? It's so crafty, these people. Yeah. And there was a supermarket and an energy company, and they was willing. You know, they was willing to do what? Anything. You understand? Let me go back up to the top. Right? They say we decided that Massey Group would do whatever it could to be the beacon of safety and reliability. In other words, we're willing to do anything. They're willing to transform the company into something else in order to make profit. That is to tell you how desperate they become.
Capitalize on death and destruction
of black people. That's right. You understand where I'm from? That is exactly right. You understand? Mostly, he said, the group was proud of the proactive and dedicated work of its employees, many of whom were designated frontline workers. Our group handling of the COVID-19 pandemic is a testament to years of preparation and collective strength of our leaders and employees. Yeah, and that is to show you, right? And this would have in the post this on their website for their shareholders. Understand? Because they address the chairman give to his shareholders within the company. Understand? The strategies that they're willing to take in order to make sure that that company survive. They want to take no loss. Understand? When everybody, when the pandemic the pandemic now hit, all businesses was coming to the government for what? For grants, eh? Yeah. And them get grant too? Yeah. So you take the government grant and still make 743 million. How much you go bleed people? Understand? Because the government give out grant for businesses so that they will stay afloat. That is what I'm showing you. Understand where I'm from? And all of these companies group up under massive group and companies. You understand? And that is to show you how bad, right? These things. So I will hold it up there, right? And that is to show you how they take advantage of Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people. You understand? Because the Black man, the Hispanic man, and the Native Indian man, right? Locally down in Trinidad, we main function in Trinidad is the driving force of the economy. And one way to know that is what the public service. That is where the majority of we people is. We like the workhorse. Understand? For the engine to go. Understand where I'm from? And imagine that a company decide to take advantage, right, of a society in the time of a pandemic. You understand? And even make profit on top of it and boasting about it to the shareholders.
Paying us $12 and $15 an hour.
That's right. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah. You understand? 613 million 1 year. and then make 743 million the next year, right? In the midst of a pandemic, and you talking about it was difficult. Them crazy. I tell you, you understand? Yeah. It's a bunch of crazy people out here. Understand? So with all that being said, understand where I'm coming from? That is why the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man have to separate from these other nations. Understand? We need to come together. Understand? We need to come back in unity. Understand? Where the black man could live among one another. But the only how we could live and really respect one another is by following the laws, statutes, and commandments the Most High set out for us. Because when we decide to keep these laws and honor these laws and honor the legacy and the history the Most High left for us, when we decide to honor our Constitution, that is the only way we win cross the bounds of our next man's property. Understand? That is where we go know the difference, how to deal with one another. Understand where I'm from? That is where we go know not to sleep with our next man's wife, not to covet a man's property or your business, understand, or your establishment. Understand? I wouldn't go to rob you and to steal from you. You understand? Because I understand now my role in my society, understand, in my world. Understand? The meaning of world is age of society. So I go understand how I should function in my society. I go understand what I should do and what I shouldn't do. Understand? And now, because the Most High set out these laws up for us, you see, we don't do it like magic. Like when we keep the laws, the Most High will just sprinkle some fairy dust and we just rise above everybody. Understand? Is a literal change that the black man have to make. It's work you have to put in to change. Understand where I'm from? We have to begin to love one another. Understand where I'm from? And learn to come back to all these righteous laws that the Most High laid out for us from since the beginning. Understand? That we choose to follow, that we choose not to follow. Understand? And when you actually watch it, the times when Israel decided to keep the laws, we rise to great prominence. And the times when we decide not to keep it, that was the absolute downfall. And so until it becomes so bad, we had to cry. And so until we come back in the year 2020, crying. And so from back to the Lord, from the land of captivity. And understand? Because why? Here in the I.S.U.P.K under command of GEN.YAHANNA, we realize and know that we in the land of the captivity. This is not we rest. And understand? The nation or the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man is Israel. You understand? And not the little itty-bitty Israel that they had now on the map. Israel was way bigger than that. You understand? Israel was way massive. You understand? And it's time for the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to come back into that rulership, right? I just wanted to get one more scripture from me, and we will close off, right? Give me Mark 12 and 31, Baba Kusha.
Book of Mark chapter 12 and verse 31. And the second is like, namely this.
All right, give me one verse up, Baba Kusha.
The book of Mark chapter 12 and verse 30. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul.
Right, so we will still love the Most High power, right? The Ancient of Days with all what?
With all thy heart. And with all thy soul.
Right, and with all we heart and with all we soul, and it doesn't mean loving him with the blood vessel in the chest. And I understand, right? And we soul is not the good thing, the feeling we get inside. And I understand from that is not the heart and soul. And I understand to love the Most High, you have to keep His laws, statutes, and commandments. That is the love of the Most High. And I understand from, right? Continue.
And with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment.
Right? So with all we mind and with all we strength, everything we do, and understand, must be, understand, towards the Most High, must be towards we nation, must be towards we people. And understand where I'm from? Right? It must be towards the things that is righteous in the eyes and the sight of the Most High. And understand? In this kingdom, it have no making deals with other nations. And understand? We don't make deals with other nations, right? Well.
And the second is like, namely this: thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
We shall do what?
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
That we supposed to love we neighbor as ourselves. And that's where I'm coming from. And it don't mean giving them gifts on Christmas Day. That is not loving a neighbor. You understand? Right? That is paganism. And that's where I'm coming from. Right? That anybody could do that. And as anybody could give a gift. And that's where I'm coming from. Right? And half of them who giving gift hating you for the next the first day in the pagan year. You understand? They're ready to wage war with one another. You understand? Right? All the evil things from way back in 1969 and 1932 and 1843 they're bringing back up. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? Right? And the evil ways that they're not willing to change. You understand? Right? All the you want to say something, Babu Kusha?
Yeah, so like some of them people, because they have to buy it.
That's right. And that's where I'm coming from, right? All these things, all these promotions that like to promote these pagan holidays that the Most High say not to celebrate, right? That was never in the black. Christmas was never in the black man's culture. And understand? Easter and Halloween, go back, look at the classes, look, do your own research. And understand? All these holidays start from pagan origins. And understand? Serving all kind of tree god. And stone and so some of them is astrology, right? All the things from Roman and Greek gods, right? That spread all across the face of the earth and end up being named by different names, but they have the same characteristics in these different religion and pagan holidays, right? The black, right, or the Negro man, the Hispanic man, and the Native Indian man not supposed to follow these laws, right? Not supposed to follow these holidays, right? Right, and your law, your constitution, your history, right, your power, your economic might, all that history is here in the Bible. Understand? Right? All that history. This here. Understand? This is your history. Right? And in the I.S.U.P.K under command, this is where you're going to learn and understand the truth about the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. This is where you're going to understand your true power. Right? This is where you're going to understand your true might. Understand? This is good. This is how you want to understand how to build economics and become better. And understand where I'm coming from, and come back in rulership. Understand? Women go understand how to deal and submit to their husband in righteousness. Understand? Men go understand how to take care of their households and not abandon and leave the house, right, unattended. And that's where I'm coming from, right? Children go understand how to obey the laws and their parents set down for them. And understand? We children when we turn homosexuals and child molesters and rapists. And understand? When you look at the crime rate in Trinidad, a set of rape victim. And understand? And a set of child abuse, elderly abuse. And understand? You could see the society heading downhill because why? It have no law and no order. The Christian church tell you the law is done away with. So the Christian church has no law and no order. And that's where I come from, right? All the other religions have no laws and no order. They can't tell you how to raise your child. Understand? They can't tell you how to solve some of the basic problems that the society facing, right? And all of them looking to look to the white man manuscript. Understand? To find out how to answer these questions. When all these problems that the world facing right here in the Bible. Understand? Right here for the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. Right? So subscribe to the I.S.U.P.K classes under command and GEN.YAHANNA in whatever territory you're in, whether it be Trinidad, Jamaica, England, right, America, Canada, wherever you may be. And understand? Subscribe to the I.S.U.P.K classes and come back and learn your history, learn your culture, right, and understand who you is, right, in this world, right, and what nation you belong to, right, and the true power of your people, the true power of your king, right, and the true power of your God, right. And with that, we will pass the class over to Priest and Officer Yakad.
Creating announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Hall, New York, under commanding General Yohanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to show themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is the commandment, you can find this in Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3 from verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, and it's pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny. Any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, you have the Feast of Purim, which is the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month, which is Thursday, February 25th and Friday, February 26th, 2021. You can find this in Esther chapter 9 from verse 20 to 31. You might ask him on Watson the check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. If your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, light shirts, light pants, like headband or scarf. And with that, we say, imagine. When you have put down between the turn and face the east, you're going to see the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Bashemaya, Quadash, Aya, Shamka, Yahweh, Malakofka, Taba'a, Atazaka, Ya, Aisha, Aratiza, Kawa, Aya, Bashemaya, Tananawa, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalakna, Kawawatna, Kasalakna, Kawawatina, Wala'a, Kabayanawa, Wanasaiwan, Bal, Shina, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Watapara, I will love you, Aman. What we said in the English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day, our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. So, whenever let's give the teacher one courtesy salute. I imagine Shabbat, I imagine Barak, Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yeshai Brakatah. Let's give the sisters online a courtesy salute. I imagine Shabbat, I imagine Barak, Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yeshai. Class dismissed.